Yandere project vlog. Man, I can't speak. Anyways, basically today we're doing the school. So, what we have here, the warehouse, which I've been checking out a lot lately. There's a guy on there, Mugen, just type in like Mugen, whatever. He has a couple models that he put up there for free and says specifically that he wants people to use and edit for things. So this is one of his models of a classroom. So actually, the base model is just this part that's highlighted. These other two things are just copies. Basically what I did was, I wanted to basically create the interior of the hallway so that you could have shots where, you know, you have the whole entire hallway and can actually see down there, or maybe have another thing like a character walking around a corner and stuff like that. I still have to add in, where is it? Scroll back. Sometimes it's hard to scroll on this thing, especially when you upload it with one of the model geometry. I still have to put in the tabs or whatever for the various classrooms. So, yeah. And basically, you can just basically copy and paste and zoom out. The same thing, just different ways. This did have a bunch of, what would you call it, a bunch of desks and chairs and stuff like that, but it was kind of really slowing down my computer, so I deleted them all. But I actually have a bunch of desks and chairs that are already rigged in MMD, so I'll just import that separately as another thing. So pretty much, I don't think there's anything else to really do with this. Oh, yeah, close this desk drawer. This is just part of his stuff when he made it. But I also like how he made it too, that everything is his own group, because that's how I typically make my models. Because then it's just easier to do stuff like this, where if I want the drawer out, you know, I can just easily slide it in. Whereas if you make it one complete mesh and you don't separate it into groups, then it gets a little bit annoying, because then you have to individually select every face of the model that you made. So, alright, so I guess we're gonna export this. I do already have the tabs or whatever for the classrooms. So I'm just gonna export this and put it in there, and then we're gonna start basically. Alright, basically, here we are in IPI Recorder. This is the first step to do motion capture. And so here you can see, basically, all of the files that I have just created. And this is only for one scene. And this is just to get started. I'll put these into Mocap Studio and convert them into BVH. And later I have to convert them into VMD. And then we can go actually and start tweaking the motion data and lining everything up and creating the scene. But yeah, this is just for one scene. As you can see, the file size is here too. I'm only using one camera right now, since most of these are straight on shots. So yeah, it does take up a little space. If you're using 2 or 3, these are going to be gigabits, and you need a lot of space for that. So yeah, next we will be in Mocap Studio. So once again, here is IPI Mocap Studio. Basically, this is where you ever import either a new project or an open file, find your mocap recorded video that you just made, and basically all that has is this stuff, motion data, and from there you can align it with your body. Well, not your body, but this dummy that is going to act as your body. And So we go to the actor tab, select male, female, and you move this around. You basically just want to line up the body, the dummy, which is basically your bones, with the motion data cloud. So, as you can see, the body dummy comes in a T-pose, which you can start your motion data in T-pose. I find it really doesn't matter because of the fact that you can just click on IK and move the arms to the first position, whatever you're doing, as long as it's not a really complicated position. So now it's pretty much lined up. Then you want to recenter on the coordinate system. Basically all that does is move the cloud data to the 000 point, because if you noticed before it was somewhere around here, which means if you started to do tracking and export, basically when you go to import it on your model, instead of like when you're loading your model will be in 000. So when you start your motion, the motion would start over here rather than at the origin point. So just want to always recenter coordinate systems on the character, and then that's just basically it. Change the size of the bones to make sure you can see I'm a little bit taller than this dummy, but basically I don't really have to mess with that. We can just go to tracking and refit pose, and then automatically it will start to find out where your body is and align the bones properly. So usually just hit that once again just to make sure everything starts at the origin point, and from there you just hit track forward, and this will take a bit of time. As you can see down here is your frames. I have 803 frames, so yeah, I'll probably be editing this number of frames down to something more manageable. But first off, I have to track all through this, and as you can see, it takes a little bit of time. So if you're going to use this, it does work very well as a system, and it's very good, but it does take some time. So yeah. I forgot the last thing. If you have long hair, I highly recommend you put your hair in a ponytail or a bun or something like that to tie it back, because if you have like shoulder length hair and you don't, the head motion data will get all kind of crazy. So yeah, you want to tie it back in a ponytail or something. The same thing also is either you don't have to wear a motion tracking suit when you do this. You just need some form-fitting clothes. Actually, I was wearing kind of baggy jeans and a tank top, so it's not too bad. As you can see, there's a little bit of excess motion data around the legs and stuff like that, which kind of helps sometimes, actually. Just when you're like crossing your feet, not in this particular motion data clip, but sometimes it helps. So basically, yeah. The other thing you can do is this enable head tracking, which right now it's tracking the body mostly, but it doesn't track the head. It usually keeps the head and neck straight on, which is default, because sometimes, especially like I said, if you have your hair down or any kind of weird hairstyle where, you know, your hair's coming out or an afro or something like that, it's really hard for it to find the center of where your face is. So that's why I usually leave this enable head tracking as it is. Same thing with these shoulders and spine. Just have some options for stiff lower spine. I usually just leave these as default, because sometimes if you hit flexible lower spine, as you can see, kind of, depending on what you're wearing, like if you're wearing maybe something baggy like a hoodie or something, or sweater, or I don't know, something, a shirt that is oversized or something like that and is not like body conforming, it tends to start wiggling this spine area here, so you'll have like really weird stances, like, you know, your hips will be out here and the legs will be straight and the upper body will be straight, but then the hips will be kind of all over the place. So same things with these shoulder position. If you mess with this, usually it doesn't turn out well, because sometimes it'll make your shoulders in really weird positions, so I usually leave those default. Anything else here? This post-process jitter removal, that's after we've tracked it. I'll just show you that in a second once this is done. And export, of course, is export. But for right now, I will just wait until this finishes. Alright, so I've been doing a couple of these. I still have a lot more of them to go yet, but I guess I just thought I'd show you. Once you do the base tracking, go back into tracking, that's when you can do apply post-processing jitter removal, which just gets rid of all the shakiness. So, and then once you do that, which takes pretty much the same amount of time, this is what we have. Of course, this is going to be a talking sequence, which is why there's not a whole lot of movement. Basically, the character is just looking around and talking. And it's a little delayed in playback, too, but as you can see, too, there's some things that I just have to go back into, which I'll do in MMD to fix the hip bones, because you can see it looks like the spine is bent, but this skeleton actually looks pretty good. And by the way, to get that skeleton, if you pause that, when you hit export, this thing here, import target character, I got these from, I think, Daz 3D, which is a free 3D program. You can export a BVH skeleton rig so that you have this, and this is a skeleton rig, basically just making sure that all the bones are lined up through. So I guess this is IPIsoft's bone, and this is the default bone, so you just want to make sure that these are all lined up. And if you get it from Daz, by just exporting a BVH from a model they have, these should already all be lined up, because it was kind of built for a lot of the basic stuff that's in Daz, and I think, 3ds Max and other things. If you already have a rigged model, you can use a skeleton from that. Same thing is, you can, I think, import some other rigs, which I really haven't experimented with, but as long as it's a, humanoid biped rig, you should be able to import it in here, and you just hit import target character, select your target character, and you can set, side by side or overlay. I usually I leave it as a default, which is side by side. That way I can see if anything weird happens during the playback. And from there you can just export. And Then we'll get into live animation. I'm going to cut this video here since there's been a couple of things, and I'll be out with the next video shortly. So, thank you for watching. I shall see you next time.